Today I want to talk about a very common saying that you might have heard of before. 10,000 hours of practice will make you an expert. This rule of thumb was popularized by Malcolm Gladwell in his 2008 non-fiction book Outliers: The Story of Success. Throughout this book, Gladwell keeps mentioning the 10,000 hour rule as the key to world-class expertise in any skill. Or to put it in another way, as he said, 20 hours of work a week for 10 years or 3 hours a day for 10 years will make you an expert. So is this rule of thumb valid, and why 10,000 hours? And why not 15,000 or 20,000 hours? Or why not just 5,000 hours to become an expert? The claim to the 10K rule to become an expert is based on a study by Anders Ericsson. In 1993, psychologist Anders Ericsson conducted the following experiment at the Berlin Academy of Music. He took the violin department and divided it into 3 groups: the best students with a potential soloist career, the good students, and the less talented students. To all of these 3 groups, he asked the same question: since you started playing the violin, how many hours have you played for? They all started to play the violin around the age of 5 and played for 3 hours a week at that time. Then at the ages 8 to 14, the differences appeared. The best violinists practiced up to 16 hours per week at the age of 14 and over 30 hours at the age of 20. That means they averaged just over 4 hours a day when they were 20 years old. So the elite group had already completed 10,000 hours of practice already by the age of 20, while the good students were at about 8,000 hours and the worst group was still at 4,000 hours. Later, Ericsson compared this with professional pianists and found the same results. Amateurs only had amassed about 2,000 hours by the time they were 20 years old, while the professional pianists had already 10,000 hours under their belt. So then I thought about myself for a second, and I added all the numbers together of my average practice times throughout the ages and found out that by now I have played the piano for about 20,000 hours. By age 20, I had already played well over 10,000 hours. But what's the problem with the 10,000 hour rule? First of all, as Anders Ericsson says, the 10,000 hour number is totally arbitrary. It's the number that the elite violinist group had put in by the age of 20, but even though they were very good, that did not make them experts yet. Additionally, Gladwell misunderstood that 10,000 hours was some kind of average, and in fact, not all the violinists from the top group had even practiced for 10,000 hours. Actually, only about 50% of the top violinists had practiced for 10,000 hours. They were just better for other reasons. The biggest flaw is that this number, 10,000, does not take into account the quality of practice. It's only about the quantity. As Ericsson has put it, not every type of practice leads to improved ability. You don't get benefits from mechanical repetition, but by adjusting your execution over and over to get closer to your goal. Here is what Brooke McNamara, a psychologist at Case Western Reserve University, has said about it. The idea has become really entrenched in our culture, but it's an oversimplification. When it comes to human skill, a complex combination of environmental factors, genetic factors, and their interactions explains the performance difference across people. Once you get to the highly skilled groups, practice stops accounting for the difference. Everyone has practiced a lot, and other factors are at play in determining who goes on to that super elite level. A meta-analysis called Perspectives in Psychological Science looked at 33 studies on the relationship between deliberate practice and athletic achievement and found that practice did only account for 18% of the difference in athletic success. So to put this number in perspective for us pianists, the practice time between 2 pianists would only at the most account for 18% of the reason why one pianist is more skilled than the other. The fact is, there are more important factors than practice time. For example, practice quality, your teachers, support from your family and friends, personality, life history, dedication, and even genetics. Practice does make you better most of the time, but remember, only perfect practice makes perfect. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can now become a channel member for added benefits. Thanks for watching and see you next time.